Meenakshi, I believe you're joined by Arundhati Katju, the primary counsel in the case. Over to you.
Well, Sanjana, epic moment really, and all eyes on the Supreme Court. Great anticipation, this buzz in the air, which really cannot be quite captured in words. And I'm being joined by a very reclusive counsel, Arundhati Katju. She practices in the Supreme Court, and she's been one of the primary counsels in this case pertaining to 377. And of course, for understandable reasons, she's still holding her cards close to the chest. But we will try and talk to her about her expectations of this judgment. Arundhati, do you think we are looking at an epic moment where the Supreme Court is all set to perhaps create history?
No, I don't want to say anything about what the court will say. We'll know very shortly. But yeah, sure, this is definitely a very big moment. This is a big case. 2013, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of the sodomy law, and we're in 2018, so it's going to be a very, very quick second judgment coming on the heels of that.
And tell us a little bit about your association with this case. Menka and yourself, you've been long associated with this case. What prompted you to take this on, and what prompted you to keep going at it, especially in the aftermath of the privacy judgment?
Well, firstly, we filed this case long before the privacy judgment. So the privacy judgment came in 2017, and in 2016, Navteej Johar and the others had already filed this case. But I think it simply had to be done because the 2013 judgment was a great blow to the LGBT community. And so we had to come back to court and have a second challenge.
And do you think this judgment will go on to perhaps usher in greater rights for the LGBTQ community in India?
Your guess is as good as mine. We'll know in a couple of we're going to know in an hour or so. So we'll look at the judgment once we have it, and then we'll see. But I definitely know that a lot of people have their hopes pinned on the Supreme Court right now.
So there you have it, this very special short conversation with Arundhati Katju. She has been one of the counsels who has championed this cause in the Supreme Court, one of the lead counsels, and clearly is choosing to be very measured with her responses. But at the same time, Sanjana, we can tell you that this atmosphere is currently so surcharged that it cannot quite be captured in words. And this great air of anticipation about what the Supreme Court is all set to do, because it is set to undertake a very, very unprecedented task. The Supreme Court traditionally does not judge its own judgment, but here we are at this juncture where the 5-judge Constitution bench, in the aftermath of the privacy judgment, has examined in great detail the reconsideration of the Supreme Court's own earlier 2013 ruling, Sanjana. And also the Government of India merits a word of mention here as to how the government has removed all legal impediments, all legal obstacles, by choosing not to oppose reading down of 377 before the Supreme Court, leaving it for the Supreme Court's discretion to decide the issue as per its own wisdom. So clearly all eyes on the Supreme Court in a very, very short while from now. This epic path-breaking judgment which is being clearly awaited by the world community, Sanjana. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of foreign correspondents also here from the United States, the radio service, television service. These are the lawns of the Supreme Court that we are reporting from. They are all parked here waiting with anticipation as to how this court will show the way forward, as to how it does not hesitate to course correct in the light of intervening events and developments.
Meenakshi, thank you so much for bringing us those updates from outside the Supreme Court. As you rightly said, a very, very interesting day today. Definitely some buzz in the air, as we can clearly see. Let me also come to my guests who are joining us now. We have Jerry Johnson joining us in the studio, noted human rights activist, and I also have Apsara Reddy joining us as well. Jerry, let me come to you. One of the petitioners in the case, that's Keshav Surya Hotelia, very rightly said that laws like Section 377 don't just hurt gay men. They're also hurting straight men, because there's a fair amount of homophobic discrimination that we're still seeing exists in our countries. So there will never be, this equal pay, something quite honestly a lot of women can also suffer from.
Right, Sanjana. I think I would stretch it even further. It's not just about affecting gay men or the LGBT community. It really affects every single citizen. See, the idea is that if you allow one class of citizen to have less rights than the others, it's only a matter of time before the government comes for the next minority. So it's not about straight man or sexual identity. It is about how, as equal citizens of India, can we all be treated equally under the law. So it's every single individual, straight, gay, lesbian, throughout the entire spectrum, women, men, everybody. The idea that some classes of citizens, I mean, the Supreme Court judgment in 2013 referring to the LGBT community as a minuscule minority was a very unfortunate way of phrasing, because how many more minuscule minorities in this country there are whom tomorrow you will say that their rights don't matter. So that's the crux of this issue.